Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a really cool day in the canyons, because today I'm driving probably the perfect mix of old Porsche with Porsche hot rodding. I've driven some really original old Porsches like a 73 Targa, and then I've driven really new ones like a 2016 911 Turbo, which is a whole different side of the spectrum. So this is, I think, where the heritage and legacy and almost like the lore of the internet and the market has come from, whereas the fast hot rodded Porsches. Porsche was one of the rare exotic companies where it seemed like it was acceptable to hot rod it and modify it 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And now it's acceptable, it doesn't hurt the value, whereas Ferrari or Lamborghini, it was a little bit touchier. They're a little touchier on it, whether or not you could do that. But anyway, this is Matt from McKellar's Classics. Thank you very much for bringing a really cool collection of stuff out. Check out our playlist for some other videos of cars Matt has brought. But let's talk about this, because this is a 73 Carrera.
It's a 73 RS hot rod.
RS hot rod, right? Okay, yeah. RS hot rod. So it's not an original RS, but it's got a lot of this stuff.
It's not quite an RS tribute, because there are some different things between the original RSs, and this, because if someone did a perfect tribute, a perfect basically copy of an RS, they call it a tribute.
Okay.
This is more of a hot rod, and
right.
Just because the little tweaks that were made to kind of upgrade what maybe the RS would have been, like the suspension. There's different stuff on the suspension and the engine. It's carbureted, not MFI.
You guys like the response of that? You liked the sound of it versus because all the cars were MFI in 73, and so this car, when you guys bought this car in a certain condition, it already had the carbs and some other stuff, but you guys like really finished it. You did some nice things.
We bought it as a project. I love the MFI. MFI is awesome. I love that system. A little touchier, but I mean carbs are pretty touchy too. But this car we bought as a project. A lot of the work had been done already. But like the engine, we ended up resealing. When we were in there, we found it had 2.7. It was a 2.7 liter Euro spec pistons and cylinders. It has the Weber carbs, which it was running so well, so we didn't put the MFI on it, because we were just like, this
if it
thing
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And then it has 906 cams, which is kind of cool, kind of rare. But yeah, I mean, it's just a really it's more torquey than an RS would be. RS would be more top end. They had the S cams in it, I believe, and that makes more top end speed. This has the 906 cams, and just the setup makes it more bottom end and more just kind of fun on the lower end.
A little more drivable, especially you said roads like this, where you don't need it, you can't ring it out maybe, or driving at 10/10 up near the red line. Actually, where is red line in this? Because there's no marker on the text.
Yeah, 7300.
Okay,
but really on this, like around 5 or 6, it's like you might as well shift. It's more fun on the bottom end anyway. So
gotcha. And not a dogleg gearbox, also not a key in the car.
I got a key.
Do you have a key? Okay.
Here you go.
I thought maybe
we can get that.
Maybe someone else, one of our friends walked off with it. Cool. We're gonna take it for a drive. I'm excited because this is like, the RSs now are so expensive that you'd be afraid to drive it on this road.
Well, and that's why so many people are starting to do tributes and something like this, because because it's still an expensive car, but not even close to what an RS would cost. And when you do this, you're not as afraid to drive it.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Let's see. Does this have like a light fan we can have on, so we get windows up, or is it?
No, we don't even have wing windows on this thing.
We have nothing.
I just want to crack them.
All right, we'll crack it, and hopefully it's nice and noisy. I built a Cobra replica with my dad and my brother, and wow, okay, the gas is light. Nothing I was gonna say was gonna sound as good as what So I think that's why Cobra replicas have been accepted as, like replica cars are usually poo-pooed on. Like replica Ferrari, what are you doing? You got a Fiero, whatever it is. Replica Cobras, we're like, look, these things are $3 million, and you can, I think more to it is you can replicate the driving experience of like a Cobra, or even like a 33 hot rod, you can't really replicate a Ferrari in your garage.
No.
But with this, you know, you can put the right engine in, and you got, you know, it has like the widened steel flares, like it's got the correct stance, it's got the footprint of an RS, it's got the engine of an RS, so you can get, you know, basically all the way there, right?
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about it, because you can buy the T's for, you know, if they're not in the best shape and stuff, and you want to build an RS, you can buy them for a decent price and basically build your own RS, because Porsche made them, so basically they're somewhat interchangeable parts.
Yeah. That's the benefit of not really changing the shell for a long, long time.
Yep.
A lot of things bolt up. Oh man, that does sound good. I have been a little bit of a Porsche curmudgeon for the last 5 years, I admit. And, you know, like I think I grew up around V8s, and that was like my first love for engine sounds.
Yeah.
And then I mistakenly, well, no, I really like the VW VR6. But when a Porsche would go by, I would just like, I don't know, it just didn't have as much like ridiculous grunt behind the sound as like a V8. And I was always like, yeah. And then now the more I hear high performance flat sixes, it's a very unique sound, and it's growing on me, and I hate to admit that because I don't like to be wrong against myself.
Well, even when I was growing up, I thought that V8 was everything, you know, like more cylinders, why not? I thought it was better. But then I started learning about the Porsches, and you know, once you drive them, the Germans were kind of like, it doesn't need to have all the power, because we'll beat those cars kind of like on handling and performance.
Yeah.
And tightness, basically.
That's what was so cool about racing back, you know, in the previous decades. I would say things are getting a little bit more similar. I mean, I like GT racing because the cars still look like cars and they do have different engines. But, you know, back in like the 60s and 70s, it was like they've got a big block and you've got a flat 6 and they've got a flat 8, and we're all, you know, in the same class, and somehow each team would find a way to be competitive with one another, and with even having such different cylinder counts, such different layouts. Wow, the steering, so just got out of your 914, and this feels like it has a quicker rack, but it still has that same talkative front end.
Yep.
Like just over that bump right there, the wheel kicked back a little bit. Okay. That is a magical sound.
It is, yeah. And this thing has that bottom end power.
It really does. We're at 4,000 RPM in fourth, and flooring in this car feels, what am I trying to relate it to? No, it feels kind of like a modern, like a early 2000s 3 Series, not quite M3, but you know, any of those higher horsepower, lower torque engines where it's really smooth, and you feel a little shove. You know, you're not getting thrown forward yet, but you're not waiting for power to show up. Where like, you know, four bangers, you have to be way up at power band to even notice that they are turned on, frankly. Turn around here. This car looks phenomenal, by the way. Like the graphics package is so cool. I really love the Ducktail with the big round with the 25 is just so nice. It's got you know, the curve of the Ducktail just throws some shadow on the colors. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it was we kind of took it. We took it from the Brumos car. We just changed the colors. And we were looking at the Brumos package basically. Oh, Lake's talking, getting there.
Yeah. What? I said Brumos. Bruno who?
Took that from the Brumos car. I thought it was a cool little sticker setup. I didn't want an exact copy of it, so changed the colors around. But yeah.
How long have you guys had this car? Because it feels like we're hitting a lot of very small bumps on the tarmac, and I'm really impressed that I can feel all of them through the steering wheel. You know, they're really great unibody cars, but like how fresh are the bushings and everything?
We've had it for
real metal flares, right?
Yep, real metal flares that are butt welded. Everything was done correct. We made sure to go through it. And that's kind of what caught our eye when we found it. We're like, this is just a cool start for us to finish the project, and they were doing it right. So, yeah.
This is a very different experience than your 79 Turbo, which they have the same wheelbase, 89 inches, real short, shorter than the 914 you brought, which is hilarious to me. But it just feels lighter, and I know it's physically a little bit lighter, but that car is just so wide and feels like it's got so much mass. This just feels like lighter under the fingers. The front end seems a little bit more eager.
You're talking about two of my favorite cars right there. This probably takes that one just because I am a huge Long Hood fan. And also, when you're going on roads like this is the more fun car to be in, because the turbo, with the turbo, you kind of...
That turbo is serious. I mean, that thing's like 400 horsepower, and you don't have, it does make boost lower than I was expecting, but it's like, it starts kicking at $4,000 and then just accelerates, you know, literally and figuratively. What? It's making me mad because I'm liking this sound more, and that's going against everything I've said to myself previously.
And the funny thing is, this is a stock exhaust.
Yeah, but the exhaust is like basically in our pocket. It's so close. So, and this is back before NVH was even a thing. So the only sound dampening is really like a seat. And so is that? Am I hearing a tiny bit of tire rub?
It has stainless steel exhaust. A tire rub.
Was that tire rub? Is that the light hum or no?
No.
Okay. I just heard on the right hand turn. It was a very small like. I just let it set. It's cool. You can.
There's a decent amount of clearance there. It's not gonna...
Yeah, it looked like it. This car has great stance, and it's not sitting super low, which I like. I think that trend is kind of waning a bit, but and it comes on cam really great. And just set. You can feel the back like.
There you go.
Yeah. It's I'm definitely not like trying to slide or anything. But I can feel. It feels like there's less weight in the back than on the turbo, or maybe it's just in my head and I've gotten used to these a little bit. But
well, you look in the back of the turbo and there's just so much to it.
That's true.
You got the intercooler, you got the AC.
Yeah, the intercooler looks like the size of a cinder block.
Yeah, this thing, the engine would be quite a bit lighter on this.
Okay,
thing.
so it's
in the body.
It's a couple hundred pounds lighter all over the place.
And this thing doesn't also have the bigger bumpers in the back.
All right, so it is significantly lighter. How much horsepower is this making?
Probably it's somewhere around 230. 220, 230 is what it's probably putting on.
This is such a good lesson for people in power to weight, and that's gonna sound dumb, and I know the internet is just warming its fingers up like right now, and it's about to say no shit. But I mean, if you just, a lot of us, it's really easy to just live like in the computer, and you read the new car specs and all these things, and it's like this one's got 460, but then next year it'll have 470, and you just go, oh, I guess I need 500. 230 horsepower. I mean, this is.
Well, it depends who you're talking.
What has 230 horsepower nowadays? Like
nothing.
Almost nothing. It's a little bit more than a new Civic Si by 30, but it's light. And you can play with it more. You can't really come up here and play with 500 horsepower. You know, I think like on a light car, 250 to 3, and then on a little heavier car, 400, and you'll really be able to explore the limits of that whole car. I don't know if I could ever spend $1 million on an RS, but I think that's also because I'm very new to the Porsche family kind of, so I haven't gotten pulled in yet. You know, I don't have the heroin addiction.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can do it, to be honest.
So I don't know how you.
Well, the thing is, you buy one of those and you can't really. You can. There are definitely people who drive them, but you're not going to drive it like this because you have one because you need one for your collection, or you just have always loved that car. But you're not going to push it to its limits because you're scared. Because if something happens, it's a big thing to replace. This, I mean, we're asking $130,000 for this.
$130,000.
You know, probably the suspension's a little better. I mean, it doesn't have the MFI, but this thing performs probably just as good, if not better, than an RS. So
see, that's really cool because you get the driving experience of an RS without the fear of wadding it up or parking it or curbing or whatever. I mean, and now car investment has I feel like exploded.
It has.
So if you add miles to an RS and it's $1 million, but are you now losing it? I don't know. This, you can have the same experience.
Not be afraid to drive it.
And not be afraid to drive it. And I mean, I don't know, for me, that's what cars are about. You want to have it to drive it.
Exactly.
This is really cool. Very unique feedback. I got caught up just listening to the sound of the engine and everything.
I completely understand.
Feels really light on its toes. Really cool compared to some of the other ones.
It's a fun car. It is definitely my favorite car that we have.
I can understand that. It really feels like it wants to play. That was really cool. Thanks a lot, man, for coming out. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the podcast Smoking Tire. They're live on YouTube now. If you ever want to ask us questions, you can jump in and watch those live. Follow me on Instagram at fake Zach Clapman or Twitter at Zach Clapman. And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.